You are listening to the We Are West Ham podcast of one of the biggest games in West Ham's history, or at least since this time last year when we were in a European semi-final of Europe's secondary competition rather than the tertiary one. However, West Ham go into Thursday night's Europa Conference League semi-final second leg against AZ Alkmaar in Holland with a 2-1 lead. After the first leg, that was last Thursday at London Stadium. We then went to Brentford in the Premier League and lost 2-0. But who really cares? Huge week for West Ham United. The real chance of getting to a European final in Prague. I'm Will Pugh. I'm joined by my mate, James Jones. Jonesy, it's a different feeling to the Europa League. And all the memories are coming up on the Instagram stories of this time last year when, for all of the games, Sevilla, Lyon, Frankfurt, I was just a mess. I was a mess. I was giddy. I couldn't really get on board with it all. The difference this year is that we were expected to win a lot of the games we've played so far. And to be fair, we have. Everyone obviously absolutely lost their minds when we only drew 1-1 in the away leg against Ghent before absolutely walloping them at home in the return leg. We've won. Everyone expects us to get to the final. Really, everyone sort of expects us to win, including our own fans. So it's a different feeling because unlike the Europa League, I didn't feel like we had anything to lose. I was just so happy and enjoyed the whole thing and really excited. This time it's tinged with a bit of expectation, which makes it a different feeling. But the fact of the matter is, it's taken a little bit longer to catch up with me. But West Ham are in a European semi-final on Thursday, second leg, and we could actually win it and go through. So it's just sort of hitting me. I'm really, really flipping excited about it now. I don't care about the Premier League. I've been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks on this podcast. Always knew we'd be safe. I said we've got to win the Conference League. It looks like we've got a chance. All we need to do is draw with AZ Alkmaar away on Thursday. Surely, Jonesy, tell me that we can.
Oh, we definitely can, mate. Definitely can.
Right, tell me we will. Tell me we will. Sorry, rephrase.
I'll be honest. I know that there's this stat going around that AZ haven't lost a home game in Europe for 7,500 years or something ridiculous like that.
Don't need to beat them.
But we don't need to beat them. We can draw with them, and they can keep that. They can keep that record. Go on,
whatever.
You can keep that.
Have your record, lads.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you have your record. We'll just go through.
We'll go to the final. Yeah.
So I'm not bothered about that. I do feel quietly confident that we're going to be in the final, and I'm hoping that prematurely buying tickets won't come back to bite me like I did when I prematurely bought a hotel room in Seville last year, and ended up flogging it to a Rangers fan. Don't fancy my chance to flog it to a Fiorentina or Basel fan.
A Basel fan,
So,
yeah.
But
or an AZ Alkmaar fan, to be fair.
Or an AZ Alkmaar fan, yeah. But I'm confident, quietly confident. But that is tinged with just awful nerves already.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because this time last year we went into the second leg and we were losing 2-1, and it was like, we've got a job to do here, and you kind of almost half expected us to not do it. And then it was over within 15 minutes when Cresswell got sent off. Now it's like we've got 1 foot in the final. We're only 90 minutes away, and it's like it could stay 0-0 for 90 minutes and we're through. And oh my God, mate, like we're so close. So yeah, absolutely buzzing. Very, very nervous. And yeah, you're right. The Premier League can get in the bin. Don't care about that at the moment or ever.
No.
It's
yeah.
And do you know what? It's also, there's a lot more riding on it this year, because if we don't win this, then we're not in Europe next year. And we've become so addicted to these European nights and these European adventures and these journeys to semi-finals and whatnot, that a year without it kind of would feel really weird. Like, no,
rubbish.
like, don't want that.
Yeah.
So we want Europe again. We want Europe forever. Doesn't matter what European competition it is. I could bring in the Toto Cup back, and I'll be up for playing in that every year. Like, whatever, it's good fun. So all over it, buzzing, very nervous, but just hope we get it done.
Yeah, honestly, mate, it's been a proper slow burner, and even before the first leg, I was sort of excited on the day, and I genuinely did enjoy the day, and I thought the game was really entertaining. We'll obviously look back on it in a bit more detail in a bit. But it still wasn't the same level as I felt last year. It's just hit me, basically. Last sort of, I don't know, day or two. I had a chat with my dad last night about, because I'm going to be in Malaga for a wedding, like in the build up to the final. So I'm going to be flying there to Prague from Malaga. Provisional conversations with you about going to Prague anyway and meeting up and having a weekend there just for a laugh. I chatted to my dad yesterday about, how many goals we need to be up in the second leg on Thursday before I book his flights to go to Malaga, then to Prague with me. And it's all just like, oh. But you know what? Just to kill the mood a little bit, I talked, obviously, I go to a lot of football matches with my dad, always have done. And what you were saying just then about you just want Europe regardless, that's exactly how I feel, right? Just give me Europe, because I'm over like watching us lose 1-0 at home to Brighton every year in the Premier League, and that be the only thing. My dad goes the other day, though, I was sort of like giddy with excitement and talking about the plans. He just goes, thing is though, it wouldn't be the end of the world not to win it, would it? Because at least then we might have a few home games Saturday 3:00 again. I was like, oh God.
But to be fair, he's got a point. But
shut up, has he got a point?
You love a good 3:00 Saturday, but because you get the rest of the weekend to recover. But I would take never having a 3 p.m. on a Saturday ever again if it meant us being in Europe.
For your team 100%. To be good.
Yeah.
Honestly, he said it. I literally did. I nearly pushed him on the train tracks. I was just like, what on earth are you talking about? I was so angry about it. But yeah, I'm just giddy. Man. I'm really excited. The other thing I'm excited about, Jones, we must get in, is We Are West Ham are going down under. I wish it was the whole of We Are West Ham. Unfortunately, it's just me. But thanks to the absolute astounding generosity of Miriam Errington in Adelaide. She's a long-time listener to the podcast. Her firm is Miriam Errington Conveyancing. So if you're selling or buying a house in Adelaide, in Australia at the moment, or beyond Adelaide, to be fair, and you need any conveyancing done, give Miriam a shout, because thanks to her, and as I said, the absolute unfathomable generosity, I'm flying to Australia for West Ham's 2 pre-season games in the summer against Perth Glory and against Tottenham Hotspur. Both of those games are going to be in Perth. I'm going to be in Perth for about a week for those games, looking to set something up at the moment, like a live podcast event, something like that, in Perth. So I can hope to meet loads of you guys. I know we've got absolutely loads of listeners down under. I know that the vast majority of you are going to be in Perth for those games. So we're looking to do just like a meetup, a few pints, get James on the other end, do a little bit of a pod, have a bit of a chat, talk about West Ham, have a few beers, that sort of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. And also, I'm going to be in Adelaide as well. I know lots of you are already aware of that. I'm going to be putting on a live podcast event in Adelaide a little bit after those games in Perth. I'm going to firm up the dates very shortly. But as I said, it's all thanks to the huge generosity of Miriam Errington and her company, Miriam Errington Conveyancing. So, huge thanks to her. That's exciting. A few of you have got in touch already. I'm chatting to Guy in Adelaide. Roger's been on as well. The few of you have been in touch. If I haven't replied to your emails already, I will do, but keep getting in touch. I need some advice. Looking forward to meet as many of you as I can when I'm down there. It's wearewesthampod@gmail.com. You can also get us on Twitter at @weare_West Ham. I'm at William Pugh_. James is at by James Jones. On Instagram at We Are West Ham Pod. You can get us on Facebook as well. But yeah, it's all very exciting and couldn't be doing it if it wasn't for Miriam. So I'm going to be getting lots of content out while we're over there. James is going to be dialing in for a couple of those still. So yeah, that's exciting. Something to look forward to. Get in touch if you think you might be able to help, / you just know you're going to be about and you fancy going for a beer at some point. And if you can teach me some of the language and protect me from snakes and spiders of the poisonous variety and kangaroos, and apparently a thing called a quokka, which I only learned what that was the other day. honestly, Jones, you Google them. Quokka.
Is that West Ham's new 50 million striker in the summer?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. In replace of Gianluca Scamacca, just someone else who's going to. Yeah. Gianluca Quokka just going to get injured after 2 games. Yeah, but So anyway, get in touch. Jonesy, Thursday night we beat AZ Alkmaar 2-1. We went 1-0 down, and look, we went 1-0 down after what could easily have been given as a foul if the referee wasn't a classic attention-seeking European referee desperate for the spotlight to be on him rather than the actual talented football players. That was really annoying. Paqueta looked like got a shove. They went up the other end. A decent hit, to be fair. Like, you still got to put it in from there. Areola could have done better. I don't really agree with... Yeah, I don't agree with the grief that he was getting. And then West Ham got themselves back into the game courtesy of a penalty. And then, look, I'll be honest, it's one of those things. I'm a bit fed up of it recently. Perhaps I just need to stop going on Twitter. But yeah, there's still a lot of moaning, right? So West Ham get back into the game, don't they? Said Benrahma, penalty on 67 minutes. And then Mikel Antonio, 8 minutes later, makes it 2-1. To be quite honest, by the end of the game, AZ Alkmaar was strung out, weren't they? They were tired, they were out of shape, and I was disappointed we didn't get another one. But ultimately, we've won the game. I thought we were all over them. They really didn't have too much going forward. I think they had 3 shots on target the entire game, but I don't particularly remember, other than the one that went in, being worried or Alphonse Areola having to do anything particularly rogue. I also thought it was a very entertaining game. There are my thoughts on it. I'm flipping excited because it means we're going into the second leg ahead. It'd have been nice to have a bit more cushion, but you'd have probably taken 2-1 before the game. Tell me your full and comprehensive thoughts on the first leg.
Well, it's difficult for me to do that, mate, because I actually didn't get a chance to watch it because obviously I was in Canada and I was at the time it was on at 3 p.m. there, and I was preparing for the big monthly business review meeting that I was over there for, and they happened to put it slap bang in the middle of the game. I was there all week, and it happened.
That is rubbish.
Right. And
that is annoying and rubbish.
Even asked them to move it. I was like, I even had a ticket for this event, and you've asked me to fly over there, so you could at least move the meeting. And they were like, no,
so I could watch it. How many other people in the meeting?
6 other people. It was basically me, my colleague, and then presenting to the board of directors. So it was
so 4 people who
pretty intense.
Could have moved it.
Yeah, they could have moved it, but they don't really understand. They're like, oh, no. Whatever, mate.
Are they Canadianese?
They are indeed. So
yeah,
didn't really understand, but I did manage to get. It was delayed a little bit, so I did manage to follow some of it on a random website which had like a picture of the
another
screen.
One that popped up.
And it was like, it was like a live score app of some kind, and it basically followed the game like a pass map, so you could see where the ball was on the pitch, who was in possession, whether it was a shot.
Benrahma's got it on the corner of the area. Goal kick to AZ Alkmaar.
So every time it went out on the left, I was like, "Go on, Saeed, go on," and then it'd be like shot off target. I was like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah, of course it will. Yeah.
And so I managed to watch maybe
cross/shot. We're not really sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So I watched. I say watched. I followed about 60% of the game via this really weird. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. So I didn't really get a feel of what was going on, other than it seemed like in the first half, AZ enjoyed a lot more of the possession, and then we come out firing in the second half and kind of sort of got ourselves back on top. But I didn't actually know the final score until I walked out of the meeting about maybe an hour after the game finished, frantically turning my phone on, and then jumped around the office with a lot of really weird Canadian people looking at me going, "What on earth is he doing?" So people high-fiving me, and they just don't really know why they're high-fiving me. High-fiving me anyway. Yeah. But, I mean, fact is, we won. I've seen the highlights. Areola should do better for their goal. It was a foul in the build-up.
Harsh as well.
And, yeah, we're probably unfortunate not to have taken 2-goal cushion. But it's very difficult for me to comment beyond that because I didn't really see all the games. So I didn't really get an idea of the flow or anything like that. But just all in all, just buzzing that we won the first leg.
You know what, mate? It was really entertaining. They came out like this is going to be one of my analogies. I was going to say like a rat up a drain pipe, but that's not the analogy for coming out the blocks quick, is it?
They came out the blocks quick.
Exploded out the blocks. That would work, wouldn't it? All right, we'll go with that. So they exploded out the box. I think the actual phrase is like, and I'm going to swear. So if you listen to this podcast, you don't, because we're normally pretty PG. It's like shit off a shovel. That's the phrase, isn't it, for coming out? Something happens quickly.
It's the first time I've heard that, but I'm going to take your word for it, mate. I like
really?
That. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, that's I think that is the phrase. Anyway, AZ Alkmaar started well and fast, and it felt like we were playing their game rather than making us play theirs. But credit to them, like they were properly really tight when they were defending, like right up people's backs, a real high intensity style of play, like all over any balls that came up to the front players, right tight marking them, all over them. And I say the ref just decided he weren't going to give any fouls. He'd really like to see a Dutch team in the final. So that played into their hands as well. But what I did admire from West Ham, although it was one of those where you think, come on, wrestle back control of this game, they matched them for effort. They were properly, it was really entertaining. You could feel that it was like a big game. Like you'd never see a Premier League game start like that because it was frantic from the off. And West Ham were matching them, which I liked. And then obviously, it got up to half time or whatever. And then in the second half, you always felt that the way they were playing wasn't sustainable because it was really, really high energy. And you just felt they were going to burn out before we did. And once we started getting on the ball, which is exactly what happened, then we started controlling it a bit more, conserving our energy a bit more. They were already used loads of theirs in the first half. And by the end of it, frankly, they were just desperate for the final whistle. I was sort of going, come on, like kill them off now because they're here for the taking. Obviously, Said Benrahma was had a shot from about 10 yards away in the penalty area, which could quite easily have gone in the corner, but he blazed that 12 yards over the bar. So could have been 3-1, but wasn't. But ultimately, I thought it was a very entertaining game. I really enjoyed the evening and the game of football, and I thought West Ham did well to come back into it. And if you'd played for 5 to 10 more minutes, we'd have definitely scored again. It gives me confidence going into the second leg because they're going to have to come at us at some stage. When that'll be, we don't know. And we know that we're most effective picking teams off on the counter-attack. So all in all, I am pleased. Obviously, quite funny that Said Benrahma and Mikel Antonio scored the goals, given that they are the two players that frustrate me the most in the West Ham team. But yeah, overall, it was a positive. And yeah, really look forward to Thursday. We'll look ahead to that with Eredivisie Mike next, before we look ahead to the Leeds game on the weekend with Darren from LS11 after that. But we then went to Brentford Sunday, Jonesy. I'm talking about Said Benrahma, and I wrote a piece for the paper in the week, just basically saying that, commenting and elaborating a bit more detail on what I have said on this podcast for quite some time, really, how Benrahma really polarizes fans. So I haven't really got time to go through it all in detail now. He's obviously going back to Brentford where he's much loved. And even after all this time, my point was that Said Benrahma polarizes fans. Obviously, it's obvious on the podcast where I sit with it. And then the replies on Twitter basically just proved my point, because you had half of the people going, what are you talking about? How the dare you even criticise him? He's our best player. He's amazing, da-da-da. And then you had other people going, yeah, he frustrates the hell out of me. And it doesn't really matter where I sit on it. It wasn't about how I feel about him. It was how interesting it is that he polarizes fans. And then my point was proven when we posted it on Twitter. But he was absolutely outstanding against Alkmaar. Genuinely one of, if not the best game he's had for West Ham. And that's because off the ball, he worked his socks off. He was putting in slide tackles. I don't know what it was, but whether he wanted it for the occasion or whatever, he was genuinely mustard. And I think that it's that, knowing that he's got that in him, that, I mean, again, the sitter at the end he missed was classic. But obviously he's put the penalty away. He was really skillful. He did play well. Again, weaker opposition than he'd play most weeks, but not taking it away from him. He genuinely was outstanding. And I think it's performances like that that result in David Moyes' approach with him, because I think he knows that that player is in there. And I tell you, mate, if Saïd Benrahma played like he did on Thursday every single week, me and everyone else who's maybe slightly in the, typically more frustrated by Benrahma would shut up immediately. If he played like that 80% of the time, he would be by far West Ham's best player by a million miles. I know this year he's been more of the best of it, or the least bad of a terrible bunch, right? Especially in the Prem. But he'd be by far our best player. But and I think that's what's frustrating. That's what frustrates people, is that they know he's clearly gifted with such natural talent, unlike most of our other players. And you just think, if you tapped into your full potential, you would be incredible.
Well, first of all, I said it to you earlier, your ongoing hatred for Saïd Benrahma was getting a little bit weird. But I do agree to an extent. I think it's worth pointing out that actually this season, when you compare it to last, and everyone said that he had a really good season last year.
Yeah.
He's actually he's pretty much equaled his output in terms of goals and assists. Compared to last season, this season. So last year he had 48 appearances, 11 goals, 6 assists. And this year is 49 appearances, 11 goals and 5 assists. So he's played one more game and got one fewer assists this season.
Who's our best player, James?
He's not as bad as everyone claims him to be.
But I don't think anyone says he's bad.
But at the same time, I don't think he's as good as other people claim him to be.
Yeah.
But the difference is that he could be as good as
that. Definitely.
Where he's never going to be as bad as people claim him to be. I don't think he's got
he already is. Can't get any worse.
He's always teetering on the edge of being a lot better than he is of being a lot worse.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And that's why I like him. That's what I like him, that he will just randomly pop up with a performance like that. He's incredibly frustrating 80% of the time. But that 20%, he delivers 11 goals and 5 or 6 assists a season.
But that's rubbish.
I mean, but for a player in his position, it's not, when you think about it.
No, but it is. Look at Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen's got one goal contribution every 2.3 games in 100. That's in the Premier League, in 129 Premier League games for West Ham. One goal contribution every 2.3. No, you're talking all comps, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Premier League stats. So, i.e. against the best opposition. Benrahma's goal contributions are less than 1 every 3 games.
Yeah.
And for bearing in mind, we've got a striker like Antonio in a team where the attacking midfielders are supposed to provide a lot of that stuff. I don't think that's
Benrahma scored more goals in the Premier League this season than Bowen.
Sorry?
6. Bowen.
No, in the whole time they've both been here.
Okay. Well, obviously, Bowen had that class season last season. I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that actually last year he was our 3rd highest goal scorer. This season he is our joint 2nd highest goal scorer. Jared
as he should be.
We're looking for him to score goals, and that's what he's doing. He's scoring goals, and at the moment he's scoring the same amount of goals as Jared Bowen, who everyone says is absolutely superb and class.
He's having a terrible season.
He's been more consistent.
That's what everyone's saying
this season.
This season. But if you look at the whole time they've both been at the club, that is undeniably true. It is that those things are just factual.
But I think a lot of people's frustration is born out of a lot of his performances this season. I think then that's born out of the fact that everyone's been rubbish. Everyone's been rubbish this season.
Yeah, he's been the least rubbish.
He's been the least rubbish. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with
he hasn't been. That isn't the same as being good. That's all I'm saying.
I know that's fine. But I like him. I think he's had a good season, and I will be voting for him as Hammer of the Year.
Oh, mate, that infuriates me.
Who do you vote for instead?
I've already voted, mate. Declan Rice, obviously.
Why?
Why?
Because it's his last season. A little bit romantic, is it?
He's actually world class. And as I said last year, if we all vote him for Hammer of the Year and he wins it, he might actually stay. But at world class year, I don't think it'll be the same this season. No. But look,
go on.
Yeah, to be right, I think genuinely he is a naturally better football player by a mile than Jared Bowen. And I'm just saying, I think if he applied himself, and I think this is where Moyes comes from with it, if he applied himself even 3/4 of the amount that Jared Bowen does, he'd be by far West Ham's best player. Like, genuinely. And I think that's probably where Moyes and lots of people's frustration comes from, is that it's like, you could be so much better than you are. Like, he's powerful, strong. He's probably our most skillful player. And I just like after training, you do all the hard bits. You make all the hard bits look really easy. And you do all the really easy bits, like just keeping a cross in play, look impossible, which is annoying. Anyway, can't dwell on that for too long. We lost 2-0 at Brentford on Sunday, James. Do you care about that at all? Because I'll be quite frank, it might as well have been a training game for the amount I was bothered by losing 2-0 away at Brentford.
Well, when
if we lost 2-0 at Brentford, I'd have been a bit more annoyed.
Yeah, of course. Well, my sort of starting 11 come out, and I was like, I even said out loud, Home Alone. I said out loud, we're going to lose that one 2-0. And
the worst brag ever. No one there to hear it.
And I was like, yeah, that's 2-0. And I was right. I should have put a bet on, but it was just very obvious. I don't think Moyes would have been too pleased having to bring on Bowen and Rice in the second half just to make it look like he wanted to try and salvage something.
Didn't have to, though.
Didn't have to. We were going to lose that game from the off, which is a little bit frustrating. I saw a lot of fans complaining about squad depth afterwards, which is a very valid argument. It's just, it always seems like our second string is never up to the task, which needs to be addressed in the summer if we win the Conference League and have Europe again next year. They've got to fix squad depth massively. But I don't. Full-time whistle went 2-0, no goals in the second half. I was like, oh well, first let's just look. It's a Thursday now. Had a quick glance at the league table, looked at the other results of the weekend, and was like, yeah, no, that's fine. Nothing to worry about. Crack on.
Did any of our starting 11 get injured? No. Are we going to go down? No. Therefore, is that a positive outcome from the Brentford game? Yes.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yeah. And it seems really weird, having that train of thought after a Premier League game, but we've got far bigger things to think about on Thursday than worrying about finishing 3 more points above the relegation zone when we're not going to go down anyway. Whatever. Forget it. Yeah. It's not going to matter at the end of the season now. We're likely just going to finish 15th where we are now.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Which is just as mere as 12th.
If we finish 16th instead of 15th, then it's 500 grand fewer in position bonuses at the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
I'm with you. The one thing that is worth sort of noting from the game, I suppose, is that I did think it was a bit of a scandal that the goal got disallowed for Divan Mbama's handball.
What's he meant to do?
Which is like the harshest thing ever. But again, if I cared about the game at all, or it was a goal that would have seen us win or draw it, I might have made a bigger deal of it on the podcast. As it happens, I don't, and it didn't. So all about Thursday this week. That much is obvious. We will speak to Eredivisie Mike next. He returns. He is an expert on all things Dutch football. He came on last week and he's coming on again, which is next. Then it's Darren from LS11 to chat about Leeds, whether they're going down, my general hatred of having Sam Allardyce back in Premier League football, and what the game is going to play out like on Sunday. Struggling, Jonesy, to care about that as well, quite honestly, because it's like if we win on Thursday, again, it will just be like, well, I don't want anyone to get injured, rest players again. Nice to go at the home game of the season in a good mood still. I think that would be good, and to see the boys off ahead of the final. But if we lose, then it's just a bit like, then everyone's like, this has actually been a naff season. If we don't get through to the final, it's been a naff season. The Premier League's rubbish. The only thing then that it will be worth going for is to boo Big Sam, won't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably why most people are going.
Well, a valid reason if you ask me.
We need a point, don't we, to be mathematically, statistically sure that we're staying in the Premier League.
We are flipping staying in the Premier League.
If we win, if we win on Thursday, I would not be surprised if it was the second string. For the next two games, we'll probably lose both and give Leeds and Leicester a little bit of a chance of staying up themselves.
Yeah,
kind of do them a favour.
Might go down.
That'd be nice. I don't really care. Whatever. I just don't care about anything other than going to Prague.
yeah. Literally, the one thing.
Flights are booked. Don't care. I just want to be there, and I want to be there for a reason, not because I had the flight, so I might as well just go anyway. I want to be there for a reason. So yeah,
absolutely, mate. The only thing that sort of says I really wanted Leeds to stay in the Premier League until they appointed Sam Allardyce. I really like Leeds. I like the fans. I think they're a decent fan base. They're a good. The Premier League is better with a Leeds in it rather than a West Brom or a
Sheffield United,
Norwich or a Sheffield United. Yeah. So I'd really wanted them to stay up. Then they appointed Big Sam. Now I want them to go down. That's as much of it is. So but I probably want West Ham to win more for that reason because it'll send Allardyce down, rather than actually it means us getting points and finishing 14th, like you said. Whoopie do. Anyway, well, Jonesy, there you have it for another week. Oh God, it's exciting. Oh God, I'm nervous. Oh God, it's I don't know. I'm in Scotland at the moment, James, and I. Massive faux pas, to be honest. I'm on a golf trip. I've got a couple of days of golf. Really amazing place, some amazing golf courses. On Thursday, the culmination of the trip, there's a really nice dinner, like jacket and tie and all that sort of stuff, and a formal presentation awards thing, based on the 2 days of golf. And it's a sort of work-linked event that I'm on. And it's it starts at 7:30.
Oh,
I know. I mean, honestly, mate, I signed up for the trip a while ago, and I didn't even clock. It just didn't. It was a couple of months ago, and I didn't even click that it didn't. And I sort of signed up for it, and then the fixtures come out. I was like, no. So I don't know what I'm going to do, especially as my plan with my dad is sort of about booking his flights, particularly.
You'd have to go missing for a couple of hours.
It's not going to be a good look if I do, though.
Well,
but I'm going to explain. Look, to be fair, I host one of the biggest West Ham podcasts in the world. I know there aren't that many. That's a bit of a humble brag, but this is. I can't let the thousands of people that download the podcast down by not watching our biggest game in history, basically.
The difference between your predicament this week and mine last week is that you're going to be with people that know about sport and football and understands what it means to support a football club and what it means to be in a European semi-final. Whereas I was
I'm in Scotland, though, mate.
Yeah, I know, but you're with work people, right? And they understand.
Scottish football's barely football.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, but I was with people that were looking at me as if I wasn't even there when I was explaining to them how much it means to me, and they're just like, "Yeah, whatever, mate. Can you do this presentation?" So you've got a chance. There is an outside chance you might be able to catch it, and because you're going to be in Scotland, you should still be able to catch it on your phone. Whereas it was geo-blocked where I was. I couldn't even want it.
No, I will be able to watch it if I get out of it. Or what I might do, this is genuinely the thing I might do, is if I'm just going to have to stomach it, then I'm going to turn my phone off. Oh, I can't because I need to book flights. No. I was going to turn my phone off and then watch it back in my room later without knowing the score.
Oh, that's impossible. That would be too hard.
Anyway, Jonesy, quickly before I let you go, what's your score prediction for both games this week?
I'm going to say we're going to win. We're going to win 1-0 in Alkmaar, and then we're going to draw against Leeds 1-0. Can be a rubbish game of football.
We're going to win 1-0. Okay, you know what, mate? I think in Alkmaar, they're going to come at us early, like Eredivisie Mike said, and I think we're going to hit them on the counter attack, and I think we're going to be 2-0 up by half time, and it's going to be party time, is what I think. And then the Leeds game on Sunday, again, it's energy, even thinking about a scoreline. It's going to be ugly, innit? Of course, it's going to be ugly. I think both teams' defences are too bad for it to be a 0-0, so I think it'll be a 1-1 draw.
The moment you said party time, I started feeling a little bit emotional, just thinking, oh my God, we are that close, aren't we?
Mate, it's definitely party time.
Can't believe
What a week. What a week it is for West Ham. It's exciting times. Yeah, huge. We could actually be in a European final by the time you hear from us next. It's amazing stuff. Thanks for listening, everyone. As always, wherever you're watching it this week, get behind the boys. It's huge for the club. It's huge for me and Jones, as you can hear. We know it's huge for all of you listening. West Ham United are 2 games away from being called European champions. What an amazing feeling. It's very exciting. I'm very nervous. But we can do it. Of course we can do it. Saeed and the boys, he can lead us to glory and a bit of redemption. Don't forget, as I've mentioned already, I'm going down under in the summer for West Ham's 2 games in Perth. So get in touch if you fancy, if you think you're interested in coming along, watching one of us record a podcast, or just having a few pints with me, or whatever it might be. Get in touch at wearewesthampod@gmail.com on the email, at Twitter with @weare_West Ham, on Instagram as well, We Are West Ham Pod. Search us on YouTube, all that sort of stuff. But get in touch if you're going to be down there. Really looking forward to meeting loads of our listeners down under. Going to be in Adelaide the week after the games as well, so don't forget that. I'm going to try and do like a live podcast thing down there as well, which is in the offing at the moment. It's really exciting. Follow us on all the socials. You can buy us a pint if you want as well. You know the score. If you listen every week, you know the drill. I'm too nervous to do the housekeeping properly. West Ham United go to AZ Alkmaar on Thursday with a 2-1 lead, and all we need to do is draw to be in a European final. How exciting is that? After all the years of drab, turgid football that we've had, with the odd bright season in amongst all of the averageness, finally, we've got something to be excited about. We've had a couple of decent seasons, thanks to David Moyes. We hope he can make it a third and salvage what's been a bit of an iffy campaign. And the first step on that road is Thursday night away in Holland. Good luck if you're going out there and enjoy it. Get behind the boys. We know you will if you're watching at home. Amazing too. All we need to do is draw. Just don't lose to a team who are like 4th in the Dutch league. That's all we need to do. And West Ham will cement themselves, as we already know they are, as one of the most massive teams in the world. Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay with us, stay with the team, and hopefully this time next week, West Ham will be in a European final. I keep on saying it because it doesn't really seem real. Thanks for listening. Up the hammers, and we'll see you next week.